Awesome. So there's a reason I did that, right? In the past, I used to hide a lot. But at some point, I discovered that there is a selfless way to blow your trumpet, right? It's important that people know what you have done. Because that way, it would increase how easily they can receive from you. Alright, so I'm going to jump into my slides now. Mainstreaming awe and wonder for creativity in Ogbomoso. Next slide, please. How many of us have taken flight before? If you've been on a plane before, your hand. Anybody? Okay, so the first time you were on a flight, or let's say the first time you were on a flight, which of the seats would you have preferred? Why window seats? Now you can see the general answer, right? The reason why you would want to sit by the window is not because you open the window and breeze will blow you. No, not that, right? The reason you would do that is because you would most likely want to do what this person is doing. Take out your phone, take a picture. Wow, this is so beautiful. This is so nice. And why is that the case? I strongly believe that is the case because there is. Next slide, please. The human soul is deeply affected by marvelous things, right? Whosoever you are, if you find yourself on the highest mountain in the world, you will not be indifferent, right? One way or the other, you will say, "Wow!" It's that you are amazed, you are astonished, or maybe you are even afraid. But one way or another, there will be a response, a deep-seated response to marvelous things. That is just how you are designed. All right, next slide. So sometimes you may wonder why people would, maybe you have money and people would pay so much money to travel to places to see things. Like, oh, I want to go and see the Grand Canyon. Why? How will I spend so much money to travel to a place to just go and see something, or to just go and see a sky that has so many beautiful colors? All right, it's still in response to this deep-seated desire in the human soul to experience what I would call awe and wonder. Right? I know that sometimes we can get so busy with life. We just run around, do whatever it is we want to do. But I think it's very important that we learn how to stop and stare. Right? Are we together? It's very important that we learn how to stop and stare. You may not have access to the Aurora Borealis. You may not have access to the Grand Canyon all the time. You may not have access to one high mountain to just see, the wonderful places around you. You may not take flights all the time and see the clouds passing by you. But one way or another, there are things around you that should cause you to pause and experience them. I can give you an experience of some of the things that have caused me to pause since I came to Ogbomoso, for instance. I remember that, when I came to Ogbomoso in 2019, I had this experience that almost brought tears to my eyes. I think maybe brought tears to my eyes. I was on a bike. I think I was trying to go to Osogbo. I was on a bike to the park. It happened twice. And it was early in the morning, and I felt this cool breeze. It felt like pure air. Compared to the type of air I used to experience before. I don't think I had experienced such a thing in a very long time. And that simple thing of experiencing cool, clean air on my face made me wonder so much. I was thinking, wow. It happened to me a second time. I think I was going through these streets around Jesus' house, which now happens to be where Love is. I was on the bike. The same thing happened early in the morning, and I thought to myself, how can a city have such clean air? I don't know if I experience the same thing now, but it's one of the things that drives me to be in a place where suddenly I'm thinking of how do you build a city that brings about human flourishing, such that the air is clean, the air is not polluted, and things like that. Another experience I had, and I'm going to share why these things are important in case you don't understand yet. I had another such experience when I had a very brief stint at Co-Creation Hall in Lagos. I had a contract working with them. Femi is here. I'm so happy to see Femi. I already said that I was going to be so happy. I'm so happy that you around. I had a very brief stint at Co-Creation Hub. And while I was there, one of the things I used to do was that I would always go to the rooftop. Maybe after walking a while, I would take a stroll to the rooftop and I think it's a 6-story building, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think there are buildings like so much of them here. I'm hoping that we'll have such very soon. Yeah. All right? Because one of the things that such an experience does is that it affects your perspective. I remember that then, after walking a few hours, I would just go to the rooftop, and it was so well designed. They had this carpet grass and everything out there, but it wasn't just that. It was the fact that when I climbed up to the rooftop, I would look at the clouds. I would look and see the old Sabo Yaba. Sabo Yaba that normally I would just be walking around, just on your bike, take your keke and get there. But all of a sudden I could stay and see it from an elevated perspective. And there was this picture, that this gave me. And I'm sharing some of these little experiences to let you know, okay, thank you so much, to let you know that awe and wonder is not so far from you. Alright? And in case you're wondering how important awe and wonder is, I'm just going to share with you some of the benefits of being, next slide please, of being in a place where you can just take a break from work and look at the birds. Right? When you read the Bible, for instance, I read the Bible, you always see things like, behold the birds. They do not worry, they do not do this, and yet they always have food to eat. Right? That's some of us would always say someone like Solomon was the wisest man in the Bible. And yet, what was some of the things that Solomon really said, or one of the wisest men in the world, that made us say he was wise? He would say things like, can you look at the ants, right? And how they are very industrious and things like that. So when we consider awe and wonder, it comes with many benefits, and I'm just going to highlight this few. Research has actually shown that one of the things that building awe, and I feel like this is the highlight of my presentation today. One of the things that building awe and wonder does, or benefits it brings to you, is actually mental, in the sense that it calms down your neurological system. There's a way that, let's say you've been busy, but you stop and behold the stars. I do this all the time. So many people know me as a creative person, but these are some of the things that fuel my creativity. I play with my child a lot. My child will ask me to come and view the clouds, view the stars. There's stars in the night. I say, yes, there are stars in the night. One of the things this does to you is that it's able to calm you in a certain way. Another thing that beholding awe and wonder, or engaging awe and wonder does, is that it's able to help your relationships with people. And this is actually very important. Say, for instance, you look at how massive the world is. One of the things it does to you is that you see how small you are in the grand scheme of things. I don't know if that makes sense. When you see how vast the world is, when you see the vastness of the world, you see the vastness of the universe, you see everything, all of a sudden, like when you're on the plane and you look down and you see all the buildings and see all the people, and you are thinking, so this is how we are just looking like ants, for instance, right? So it's not like your self-worth depreciates. No, you're still able to see that as, in quotes, small as I am, I'm still a valuable entity. Now, what that does is that you come to a place where you respect human beings more. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Since you've already seen that, I look this small and yet I'm this valuable, one way or the other, this can bring you to a place where you can care for people more. And at the end of the day, this will always fuel creativity. Alright? Being in a place where you can have greater relationships with people fuels creativity one way or another. How do I mean? I believe that the core of creativity is that it should bring about human flourishing. If your creativity does not bring about human flourishing, I see it as being more of destructive than it is creative. Alright? And it can only bring about human flourishing when you care for people. Alright? So, being in a place where you can build more wonder, one of the things that it does is that it can inspire your creativity, and the reflective bit is that it can, when you begin to interact more and relate more with people from a place of respecting one another and understanding how important people are, and how it affects your relationship, that causes you to want to bring about creative solutions to people's problems. Alright? It causes you to want to be in a place where when you're creating things, you're creating it for the flourishing of people. Next slide, please. Alright, so having considered this, I believe that your responsibility as a creative is to be in a place where you give yourself to discovering, engaging awe and wonder wherever you are. You may not always have the resources to travel around the world and see the beautiful places in the world. No, you may not always do that, but wherever you are, you can create an environment or you can create an atmosphere that helps you to discover, to engage awe and wonder. Another thing I would want us to consider is being in a place where you embrace curiosity. For awe and wonder to be able to fuel your creativity, being in a place where you are curious about the things around you. Like I've said, creativity is not always just about designing. It's being in a place where you can bring about solutions to people, things that bring about people's flourishing. Alright, so embrace curiosity. Create things that make for the flourishing of the human soul. Right? If you're creating something and the focus of it is not bringing about the flourishing of humans, I would rather not see that as creativity. In a way, I just coined the word and said that is more of destructivity to me. If your creativity is not benefiting humans, at the end of the day, it's more destructive than it is creative. And one more point I would like to point out as your responsibility is your capacity to capture marvel in your work. When you create something, as much as it is functional, as much as it is useful, as much as it is usable to somebody, do as much as you can to also ensure that it is marvelous, that it brings delight, that if someone encounters what you have done, they can say, wow. Which is why I appreciate a lot of people that have gone ahead and shared before now, because these are people that have done marvelous things, right? They are not just beneficial, you can also interact with them and realize that they are also that marvelous, all right? And one more thing I would like to add is being in a place where you leverage tech for influence. As you create wonderful things, as you create marvelous things, the merging of creativity and technology would always bring about skilled awe. Next slide, please. All right, so I just want to share this bit. Earlier this year, I co-founded an initiative with my wife called Love Creative Excellence Initiative. The story behind this is interesting. I believe that everybody is creative. I strongly believe that everybody seated in this hall here is creative. When I say you are creative, I'm not saying that you are a video editor. You can be a video editor. I'm not saying that you can be a graphics designer. I'm not saying that you can be an artist. Because oftentimes when we think of creativity, the first things that come to our mind will be that I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do video editing. No. Creativity finds expression in multiple ways. You can be a farmer and you have creative ways of doing your farming. You can be a teacher and they are creative. You can be a coach and what you do is actually creative coaching. You're not just doing the coaching because let's just coach. No. Everybody is creative one way or another. And one of the dedications of love is to, next slide please, bring us to a place where we can learn to express our unique creativities and then lead to creative enterprises, create value with your creativity, and then come to a place where you can also experience creative excellence. Okay, next slide please. So if you are living here with one thing or two things, I would summarize them those. One, understand that seated right here, you are a creative being. You are uniquely creative in yourself. And two, you have a responsibility to bring forth that creativity. And one way of assuredly doing that is exposing yourself to awe and wonder. Because what it does is that it inspires you to do the same. Thank you so much for your time.